Hello, hello, English learners. Welcome back to Learn How to Learn English, the podcast where every episode gives you real English and a little push to live better. I'm Emma.
And I'm Alex, back again with more stories, more vocabulary, and more real talk. Emma, can I confess something a little embarrassing?
Always, Alex, go ahead.
The very first time I had to introduce myself in English in front of an actual group of people, I completely forgot my own job title. Just blanked mid-sentence.
You forgot your own job?
Completely. I said, "Hi, I'm Alex, and I work as a..." And then just silence. For what felt like an entire minute. It was probably 3 seconds, but it felt endless.
That's such a common experience, honestly. Something about introducing yourself in a new language makes even the simplest facts about your own life suddenly feel slippery.
Exactly. Which is exactly why today's topic felt so important to cover. Today we're talking about learn how to talk about yourself in English. Easy introductions for beginners.
Whether you're meeting new classmates, starting a new job, joining an online call, or just chatting with someone new, introducing yourself is one of the very first things you'll ever need in English. So today, we're breaking it down step by step, simply and practically.
And as always, if today's episode helps you, please subscribe to Learn How to Learn English. Tap that like button and share it with someone who's just starting their English journey.
Let's get you talking about yourself with a little more confidence. Let's start by understanding why this specific task feels harder than it should. Introducing yourself in your native language is automatic. You've done it thousands of times. But in a new language, that same simple task suddenly requires real effort.
It's strange, isn't it? I know exactly who I am, what I do, where I'm from. The information isn't missing. It's just the English words for it that go missing at the worst possible moment.
Exactly. Often, the problem isn't a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of a ready, practiced structure. Structure, structure, the way something is organized or built, a clear pattern to follow.
So, you're saying if I had a clear structure memorized, I wouldn't have blanked out like that.
Very likely, yes. When you don't have a structure ready, your brain has to build a sentence completely from scratch, under pressure, in front of people watching you. That's a lot to do all at once.
That explains exactly what happened to me. I was essentially trying to write a sentence live, out loud, with an audience.
Which is exactly why today we're going to build you a simple, reusable formula, something you can rely on every single time, so your brain never has to start from zero again. Let's build the formula together. A solid introduction usually has 3 simple parts: your name, where you're from or where you live, and what you do.
So something like, "Hi, I'm Alex. I'm from Lahore, and I work as a graphic designer."
Exactly that simple. Name, background, profession. Background, background, information about where someone comes from or their personal history. Profession, profession, a job, especially one that needs special training.
And this same little formula works basically everywhere?
Almost everywhere, meetings, classrooms, parties, online calls. You can always add more detail later, but this simple 3-part sentence gives your brain a safe starting point every single time.
I really wish I'd had this formula memorized before that meeting where I forgot my own job.
Better late than never. Let's make sure none of our listeners ever have that exact moment.
One more tip here. Practice this sentence about yourself so many times that it becomes automatic, almost boring to say. Boring is actually good here, It means you won't need to think hard under pressure.
Such a good point. The goal isn't to sound clever or complicated. The goal is to sound calm and clear, even if your heart is racing a little underneath.
I actually have my own embarrassing introduction story too, from years ago. My very first day at an international company, I had to introduce myself to the entire department, around 15 people, all watching me.
Oh no, what happened?
I was so nervous, I completely mixed up the order of my own sentence. Instead of saying, "I'm Emma, I'm from Karachi, and I work in marketing," I somehow said, "I'm marketing, I'm from Emma, and I work in Karachi."
Wait, you introduced yourself as a job title? I did! For a confusing few seconds, everyone just stared, probably wondering if marketing was actually my name.
That's honestly hilarious, Emma.
It absolutely was, once I recovered from the initial panic. Someone kindly laughed and said, "Nice to meet you, marketing." And somehow that broke the tension completely, and the whole room laughed together, warmly.
So the mistake actually helped you fit in faster.
Strangely, yes. People remembered me that day, exactly because of that mix-up. And I never confused that sentence order again. My brain rewired it permanently after that.
Which connects perfectly to what we talked about last episode, actually. Mistakes helping your brain build stronger pathways.
Exactly. Introductions are simple, but they're also surprisingly easy to get scrambled under pressure. If it happens to you, don't panic. Just laugh, correct yourself calmly, and keep going.
Let's go a little deeper into the second part of the formula, talking about your work or studies. What's a good way to expand beyond just naming your job title?
A simple trick is adding one small extra detail after your job title. Instead of just, "I'm an accountant," try, "I'm an accountant and I mostly work with small businesses." It's still simple, but it gives the other person something to ask about.
And for students, something similar?
Exactly the same idea. Instead of just, "I'm a student," try, "I'm a student and I'm studying computer science." One small extra detail transforms a flat sentence into an actual conversation starter.
I like that. It gives the other person an easy door to walk through, instead of leaving them with nothing to respond to.
That's a great way to put it. An easy door. Conversations grow much more naturally when you leave a small door open for the other person, rather than closing every sentence completely.
What if someone is between jobs or doesn't currently work? Is there a comfortable way to introduce yourself then, too?
Of course, something simple like, "I'm currently looking for new opportunities in design," or "I'm taking a short break before my next role," works perfectly well. There's no need to over-explain your situation to a new acquaintance. 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 Someone you know a little, but not a close friend.
Simple, honest, and short. No pressure to justify anything to someone you just met.
Now let's add a fourth, optional part to our formula: hobbies or interests. This part isn't always necessary, but it makes an introduction feel warmer, more personal.
Something like, "In my free time, I enjoy cooking and hiking."
Exactly right. Simple present tense, one or two hobbies, nothing complicated. "In my free time, I enjoy" is a wonderfully reusable little phrase.
Why does adding hobbies actually help, beyond just filling time?
Because facts like your job or hometown are useful, but they don't always create connection. Hobbies often do. If you mention hiking and the other person also loves hiking, suddenly you have real common ground. Common ground, a shared interest or opinion between two people.
That actually happened to me at a language exchange event. I mentioned I enjoyed photography, almost as an afterthought, and it turned into a 20-minute conversation with someone who felt like an old friend by the end.
That's exactly the power of this small addition. A job title creates information. A shared hobby creates connection.
So the full formula now looks like name, background, profession, plus an optional hobby at the end?
Exactly that. Simple, flexible, and warm, all at once.
Speaking of that language exchange event, can I actually tell that story properly? It's a good one.
Please, go ahead.
I walked in completely nervous, only knowing one sentence properly. My basic formula: name, background, job. I repeated it to about 6 different people that evening, almost like a script.
Very efficient, at least.
Very robotic, too, honestly, at first. But by the fourth or fifth time saying it, something interesting happened. I stopped thinking so hard about the words and started actually listening to what people said back to me.
That's such an important shift. Once your introduction becomes automatic, your brain finally has room left over for the actual conversation.
And that's exactly when I mentioned photography, almost by accident, to someone named Daniel. Turned out he was a hobby photographer too, and honestly, we still message each other sometimes now, months later.
All from one small, repeated, slightly robotic sentence at the start of the evening. That's genuinely one of the best pieces of advice hiding inside your story. Repetition doesn't just help vocabulary, it helps confidence too. The 10th time you introduce yourself will always feel easier than the first. Let's talk about what comes right after the introduction, because that's often where learners freeze up next. The small talk that naturally follows.
What's a simple way to keep the conversation moving after the basic introduction?
The easiest trick is mirroring, asking the other person the exact same question they just asked you. If someone asks, "Where are you from?" Answer, then simply ask, "And you, where are you from?"
That sounds almost too simple to actually work.
It is simple, but it works beautifully. It shows genuine interest, and it takes very little mental effort, which is perfect when you're still building confidence in a new language.
Are there other easy follow-up questions worth having ready too?
A few reliable ones. How long have you been here? What brought you to this event? Or simply, how's your day going? Nothing fancy, just genuinely useful, reusable questions.
I like that these are all short. Short questions feel much less intimidating to actually say out loud.
Exactly. You don't need complicated grammar to sound friendly and engaged. Simple, genuine questions almost always work better than impressive, complicated ones.
Does our formula change depending on the situation? A job interview probably feels different from a casual party, right?
Good instinct, yes. The core formula stays the same, but the tone shifts. Tone, Tone, the general feeling or attitude of how something is said.
Can you give an example of that shift?
In a formal setting, like a job interview, you might say, "Good morning, my name is Alex, and I currently work as a graphic designer with 5 years of experience in branding." More complete, more polished.
And in a casual setting?
Much lighter. "Hey, I'm Alex. I do graphic design, mostly branding stuff." Same core information, completely different energy.
So it's less about learning two separate formulas and more about adjusting the volume and formality of the same one.
Exactly that. Formal, Formal, following established rules, more serious and polite. Casual, Casual, relaxed, informal, easygoing.
Any tips for figuring out which tone fits a new situation, especially for beginners still unsure?
A simple rule: listen first. Notice how others in the room are introducing themselves and match that same general energy. If everyone sounds relaxed, relax a little too. If everyone sounds polished and formal, lean slightly more polished yourself. I want to share one more story about a student I once tutored named Rabia. On her very first lesson, I simply asked her to introduce herself, and she froze completely, eyes wide, totally silent.
That sounds like such a familiar feeling for a lot of learners.
After a long pause, she quietly said, "I don't know how to start." And honestly, that single sentence taught me so much about why beginners struggle here specifically. It's rarely about vocabulary. It's about not having a starting point.
So, what did you do?
I gave her exactly the formula we shared today: name, background, profession, hobby. Nothing fancy, just those four simple pieces, written down clearly in front of her.
And did it help?
Almost instantly. Within a few minutes, she was saying, "I'm Rabia, I'm from Multan, I'm studying nursing, and in my free time, I enjoy painting." Simple, clear, completely hers.
From complete silence to a full introduction, just from having a clear structure to lean on.
Exactly. Months later, she told me that same simple formula became her go-to sentence for every new class, every new group project, every new person she met. One small tool used again and again.
It really proves that beginners don't necessarily need more vocabulary first. Sometimes they just need one reliable structure to hang their words on.
Beautifully put. A blank page is intimidating for anyone, in any language. A simple template makes that same page feel completely manageable.
Let's talk about a situation so many of us deal with now. Introducing yourself on a video call or in a group chat instead of face-to-face.
Such an important area to cover. Online introductions actually come with their own small challenges. No body language to read, sometimes delayed audio, and often everyone typing their name into a chat box at the same time.
I actually have a story about this too, if you'll allow one more.
Of course, go ahead.
During an online course, the teacher asked everyone to unmute and introduce themselves quickly, one by one. When my turn came, I completely forgot I was still on mute and gave my entire introduction to absolute silence.
Oh no, the classic muted introduction.
The classic mistake. I finished my whole sentence feeling quite proud of myself, only for the teacher to say, "Sorry, Alex, we didn't hear any of that. You're still muted."
How did you handle it?
I just laughed, unmuted, and said, "Let's try that again." Clearly, my microphone needed an introduction too. Everyone laughed, and honestly, it made the whole call feel more relaxed after that.
That's such a great example of turning an awkward moment into a small shared laugh instead of letting it become embarrassing.
Since then, I always double-check my microphone before speaking online. Small habit, but it saves quite a bit of embarrassment.
That's actually a great tip for our listeners, too. Before introducing yourself online, quickly check your microphone, your camera, and your internet connection. It removes one entire layer of possible stress.
And the actual words you use online, are they any different from a face-to-face introduction?
Not hugely different, honestly. The same simple formula works: name, background, profession, maybe a hobby. Online, people often appreciate slightly shorter introductions too, since many people are usually waiting for their own turn to speak.
So maybe trim it down slightly. Name, one line about work, done?
Exactly right. Something like, "Hi, I'm Alex. I work in graphic design. Excited to be here today." Short, clear, easy for a group to follow quickly.
Simple, clear, and this time, actually unmuted.
Let's hope so for everyone listening today. Okay, let's get practical. How can our listeners actually build and practice their own introduction, starting today?
First, write your own basic formula down on paper or in your notes app. Name, background, profession, hobby. Keep it short. Keep it simple.
Second, say it out loud several times, even alone in your room. The goal is for it to feel automatic, almost boring to say, so it survives real nervousness later.
Third, practice both a formal and a casual version. Having both ready means you'll never feel caught off guard by the tone of a new situation.
Fourth, prepare 2 or 3 simple follow-up questions in advance, like, how about you? Or, what brought you here? Ready questions keep the conversation moving smoothly.
And fifth, use it in real situations as often as you can, even small, low-pressure ones. Every single repetition makes the next introduction feel a little easier, a little more natural.
Introductions genuinely get easier with repetition, exactly like everything else we talk about on this podcast. The 10th time truly does feel completely different from the first.
Before we move to vocabulary, I keep thinking about something. All these stories today, my forgotten job title, your I'm marketing mix-up, Rabia's frozen silence, my muted microphone, they're all completely different moments.
True, very different situations. True, very different situations. What connects them for you?
Every single one of us, at some point, felt like introducing ourselves was somehow harder than it should be. Even you, even native-level speakers, even confident people.
That's such a comforting realization, honestly. It's easy to assume everyone else finds this easy and only you struggle with it.
But clearly, that's simply not true. Everyone has a story like this somewhere, if you ask them.
Which means, if you're listening today and you've frozen up before, forgotten a word mid-sentence, or accidentally muted yourself at the worst moment, you're in very good company.
Excellent, embarrassing company, apparently.
The best kind. Now, let's finish up with our vocabulary.
Word tour time. Let's review today's best vocabulary.
First word, structure. The way something is organized, a clear pattern to follow. Having a simple structure makes introductions much easier.
Next, background. Information about where someone comes from or their history. She shared a little about her background before the interview.
Next, profession. A job, especially one requiring special training. He described his profession clearly and confidently.
Next, acquaintance. Someone you know a little, but not a close friend. We met as acquaintances at a work event.
Next, common ground. A shared interest or opinion between two people. Their shared love of hiking gave them common ground instantly.
Next, tone. The general feeling or attitude of how something is said. Match your tone to the formality of the room.
Next, formal. Following established rules, serious and polite. Job interviews usually call for a more formal introduction.
And last, casual. Relaxed, informal, easygoing. Parties usually call for a more casual introduction.
8 useful words today, all ready for your very next introduction.
Before we close, I want to say this clearly. You don't need perfect grammar or an impressive vocabulary to introduce yourself well. You simply need a clear, practiced starting point.
Your name, a little background, what you do, maybe a hobby. That's genuinely enough to open almost any conversation. anywhere with anyone.
And if you blank out sometimes, like I did that day forgetting my own job title, that's completely normal too. It happens to native speakers as well, more often than you'd think.
Exactly. Introductions are simply a skill, and skills improve with practice, not with perfection. Every awkward first attempt quietly becomes a smoother 10th attempt if you keep trying.
So the next time you need to introduce yourself in English, remember your simple formula. Take a breath and just begin. The rest tends to follow naturally.
You already know exactly who you are. Today's episode simply gave you the English words to finally say it clearly.
Final wrap-up. Today we talked about why introductions feel harder than they should. The simple four-part formula: name, background, profession, hobby, small talk that follows naturally, adjusting your tone for different situations, and a few very relatable real-life stories along the way.
Our community question for today: write your own introduction in the comments using today's formula: name, background, profession, and one hobby. We'd genuinely love to read them.
And don't worry about making it perfect. Simple and clear beats fancy and confusing every single time.
Today's key vocabulary to remember: structure, background, profession, acquaintance, common ground, tone, formal, casual. Use them today, starting with your very own introduction.
If today's episode helped you, please click like, subscribe to learn how to learn English, and share it with someone who's just beginning their English journey.
Talking about yourself doesn't need to feel intimidating. With the right structure, it can feel as simple and natural as saying hello.
This was Learn How to Learn English with Alex.
And Emma. Until next time, keep practicing, keep introducing yourself with confidence, and remember, everyone in that room once forgot their own job title too. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Go on, introduce yourself to someone new today. You've got the formula now.